We're live.
Dum da dum.
I think, maybe. I'm not
I think we might be. I mean, it says YouTube at the top of my Zoom window.
Yay. Have you heard of this thing called the millennial pause, Sage?
Not sure if I have. What is it?
Okay. It's something in I guess, vlogging, social media video space, where apparently millennials have
There is
this
such a
thing when
space.
it's like, the meta of the influencer world,
Oh, the meta. Okay.
where the millennials, when they start making a video, they pause for like a second or two to make sure that the video has started recording before they actually
Ah.
start with their spiel. Whereas the younger generations, they haven't been, they haven't been raised thinking that you have to wait for the camera to start rolling. You can just hit and talk right away.
Do
I
you
think,
have to? I mean, I don't know. Like, I know that with some cameras, like, it doesn't immediately record. So
yeah, yeah.
you might have, like, the first split second of the audio not coming through. But
Honestly, like, yes, but I tried with my smartphone and was definitely much faster than my brain was
yeah,
expecting it to
it
be.
probably isn't as much of a problem these days. But
Yeah, I definitely feel like there is such a thing as moving elbow. How big of a problem it is, I can't tell you. But anyway, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good too. I'm looking forward to, the break.
Oh,
Uh, time with not much to do except for relaxing, resting,
when
Christmasing.
when are you finishing up?
Next week on Monday, I have one extra day. You're finishing up today, right?
Yeah, what are you doing on Monday? No one is going to be in.
I think there'll be a few people. I'm expecting to spend lots of time on our latest rich text improvements.
Ooh.
I only get like once a year or two to geek out on rich text UX, so always happy to be in that mindset. But yeah, for today, we thought we'd give a review of what we've been working on this week, I suppose. Block settings, block form layouts, block groups. How do you call them these days?
Well, we'll see. Let's see. I made something called a block group, and you configure it through form layout. But for all intents and purposes, you can just call it block settings, I guess.
Honestly, Sage, like you have done a lot, and it feels like what you've added support for is way more than most Wagtail sites out to need. Let me see if I can get my Wagtail demo up and running so we can look at this together. Um, I'm gonna use VS Code today, and I'm gonna screen
Do you not
share.
use it every day?
Well, it's good that you ask. I actually change IDEs a lot these days just to try different takes on the AI integrations.
Uh-huh.
Um,
But they're all VS Code, right?
they're not all VS Code. I
It's all VS Code, always has been.
I got a PyCharm license as well.
Ah,
Uh,
yeah.
we had our Django Software Foundation PyCharm campaign a few weeks ago, and I thought, oh, I ought to give it a proper go with their Juni. Um, I had like taken a peek in the past, but I think I ought to spend more time than that. Um, yeah, and even in VS Code, there's so many cool extensions these days to do this or that AI workflow that I feel like it's changing fast. Um, yeah. Anyway, I won't go over them right now. Did we merge your pull request, Sage? We haven't yet. Should
I
we look at
haven't
that
yet.
first? You have? You haven't?
I haven't.
Okay. Sorry, taking a step back, we get to merge these together. How cool is that?
Ooh.
Oh, it was more than a week ago that you worked on that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's just Matthew and I catching up with the code review.
But also
Um,
because I usually put out a draft PR as I work on it. Um, So yeah, when I made that PR, it wasn't ready for review.
Good practice right there. Yeah, the main thing I wanted to double check is just the release notes because it is rare for us to add those in the PR, and I would normally add them manually. So we're just missing the change in the changelog.txt file.
Yeah.
And I think we can add that um, old school directly once I've hit merge.
Ooh, we're hitting the big green button today.
Boo!
That how it goes. Did you review it?
I um I didn't review your tests super carefully. Um,
Oh.
Not all of the tests, at least, but enough to know there's definitely a net improvement. Uh, yeah, I think, as far as things that I skimmed on, you've moved a lot of code to TypeScript, Sage, and
Oh.
there's lots of code in there that is TypeScript technically, but not as typed as I normally expect.
Yeah.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Oh. Yeah, I wasn't sure between like doing a complete refactoring or just adding the bits that are necessary to implement this. Because I think I would suggest reviewing this on a commit by commit basis so you know what's happening. Because there is definitely some code that has already been there, and I just I didn't touch because I want to minimize the risk of breaking stuff. But yeah, I think I initially wrote a bit more TypeScript than what you see currently, but then I felt like, well, I didn't originally write this code, and if the original author would come back to this part and then suddenly it's all typed, it might be a bit difficult to regain that memory of code of the code base. So yeah, I try to minimize that. But for the new stuff, I try to type it as much as possible.
Yeah, this is tricky to find the right balance. I didn't check in commit history whether you'd done it in a way that there was a move of the files so that the history would be
Yeah.
preserved through the blames.
Yeah. So it's the refactor struct block code to TypeScript. That's just a few lines above. Yeah. It's literally,
Yay.
and if you look at the changes, yeah, just adding the declaration.
Great. Well, yeah, I have been changing linters as well lately, and I'm a bit annoyed with it because I don't know if you spend much time with Biome as a replacement for Prettier and ESLint. They both kind of expect to be set up for all of your projects, and they
Oh
lint.
yeah, the VS Code extension tends to be noisy if you don't have the config file.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm too lazy to spend the time to configure it per project for the one that I don't want it to run on. So basically, Biome is telling me about all of the times you've used any in your TypeScript files.
I feel like
Which,
if you don't have a biome configuration in your workspace, it shouldn't try to do its thing, but I don't know. I think usually that's like the convention, I suppose. Like the prettier and ESLint extensions. I don't think they would run if you don't have the configuration.
hmm,
Even though I think the extensions do ship with its own package version if you don't have it installed, and you can
yeah,
toggle which to use. But yeah,
I think I think Prettier does run without configuration, but I don't actually know 100%. Maybe it's just editor config that it detects, not the um,
I
Prettier
mean
specific
it can
files.
run, but at least it shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it shouldn't be noisy about it.
yeah. Good question. Yes, so we have a changelog entry to add, and then we'll get testing your new features. I think I keep it pretty simple. use your title from the main release notes. Um, Add support for, and it knows to complete to your name.
Oh, wow.
Sage, our blog expert.
I'm in the data set.
Add changelog entry for.
Oh,
What's
you
the
know it by heart?
spend a surprising amount of time remembering pull request numbers.
I always go back and forth with the web browsers just to copy the numbers.
It would be nice if I had a better pull request.
Oh no. You,
What?
you need to clean up those tags on your local machine. I keep
Oh
removing
no.
them.
I'm surprised that they're showing up today in particular. Do you remember the Git one-liner to delete remote tags?
I don't. I usually just. I think you need. You still need to push. Yeah. So I usually
Is it
just
like
delete it
something
from
like
Git.
that?
I would. I would just use GitHub's UI.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Yeah, good catch. I don't know why I still had those and why they show up today in particular. Okay, so we have our local copy with your
Ooh.
changes in, and you have set up a test project for us to be able to
Yep.
try out those new settings more easily. Thank you, Sage.
Can you guess how I set it up?
Ooh. Should we take a look at the code?
I think, yeah,
What do we have in there?
it's just your basic Wagtail start template, but
Oh,
with
okay, so it's all on the home page.
yes.
He adds his
Oh,
blocks in the
you only
models.py.
you only open the models.py. Interesting, not the whole project.
I feel like it's nicer in the single window.
Oh no, I just realized for some reason the imports are duplicated.
Oh, now I can guess how you've done this. The
Well, it
level
doesn't
of
matter. It's just
care
for
for the
testing.
crafts is getting dangerously low. We have Damilola watching the stream today and one of our well-established contributors, and he must be, table flipping right now. How dare you duplicate your imports, Sage?
Oh no. What's with all these comments?
That's a lot of comments for a human to write by hand.
With the formatting as well.
How did you prompt it?
Oh, that's a good question. And it might somewhat be related to the next thing we'll talk about, but I basically put all the new documentation for the feature and then tell it, please write the blocks for my model to test all the possible combinations of this feature.
Mhm. That's interesting. All the possible combinations. That's definitely something that I think is tricky for fleshy coders like humans. I have a feeling that when I do this, it's easy to think of corner cases, but sometimes they're so deep, and, corners of cases that you make a bit of a calculus that, okay, this one I'll just blissfully ignore. And it
Well,
comes,
you can also use I think you call it the Swiss cheese technique or something.
remind us what's the Swiss cheese technique?
So, instead of all possible combinations, how cheeses have holes.
Hmm.
So you make it so that if you were to make something pass through the holes, it will eventually be caught at one slice. There's no hole that will pass through all of them. I don't know if that makes sense. I think it's easier to see with the illustration.
So the illustration, we have your sequence of blocks, and we have a person block.
Oh, I forgot to update the value of the alt text in the first one. The first block, not this one. I originally used my photo, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to put this in a public repo, and I'll just use a different one.
Did you create the content yourself?
I did, yeah. I mean, I basically just add a few blocks and then upload an image and fill it in. That's it.
Nice. Um, okay, so yes, we're looking at a person block that has quite a complex layout, Sage.
Yeah.
What did you do there?
um, I think under the hood, it's still just a single struct block, if I remember correctly.
Um, should we open the code side by side?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Lay manage. How do you pronounce your GitHub username, Sage?
Uh, I don't know. I think whatever the first one that comes to your mind, that's the correct one.
Da-dum. Person block is a struct block with a lot of sub blocks, but definitely something that is common in the Wagtail world. And it is just like a flat sequence of sub blocks.
There is
And then
one nested struct block technically with
there's
the image
one.
block. That's the Wagtail's built-in image block, but it contains the image, the decorative boolean, and the alt text. But other than that, it's internally. Other than that one block, it's just a flat list of blocks.
And you've added some structure via your new support for block settings, or I guess
Yep.
specifically here, just arbitrary layouts of how those block fields are presented in the page editor.
Hmm.
The block group API. So top level, we have a block group. We have a photo block, which is the image block. Okay. Then another group. Interesting. How do you decide which attributes to put in what order here? I'm surprised you don't have heading before children.
That's a good question. So if you look at the API, it's very similar to Whitetail's panels API. Um, so yeah, I try to. I mean, I guess I also think of maybe in the future we want to support the different types of UI components that are used to render these. For model fields, we call them panels. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have things like tabbed interface or field row panel where the fields will be displayed side by side instead of going down, and or just multi-field panel for grouping the panels. And yeah, in this case, the children goes first. So, but yeah, if you use keyword arguments, you can put the heading first if you want. So, yeah, I just try to follow the existing API for that.
Why not then have positional argument for the children?
Oh, this is just the example. If you omit the children and use it as a positional argument, that works too. In this case, I
Okay.
just wanted to be explicit, or I guess to be more precise, that's how the AI did it, or maybe also because I wrote it that way in the documentation.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting to. I feel like exactly how you put it in the docs is definitely going to influence which style people
Yeah,
decide to
I
write
think
this
in
in.
this case, it's also because there. is the settings list, which will also contain a list of block names or block groups. And if you don't have the children explicitly, it might be difficult to see, okay, which blocks go to the children and which blocks go to the settings.
Yeah, okay. So that's this example um, right there that you have them side by side.
Yeah. And it's nice
Okay.
that children and settings have the same amount of characters. I love it when that happens.
Yes, that right there is great design, making sure that you have the exact same character length for things that will be so much easier to look at if aligned. Yeah,
It's
it's the
still
little
not
things.
important, but
Honestly, like you say, not important, but I feel like there's definitely a lot of
it's the little
value.
things that make you feel good about when you
Yeah,
write it, even though it doesn't matter in the end.
yeah. I think it does matter. You spend a lot of time looking at code and looking at diffs of code. And, like depending on how the APIs are structured, it influences the diffs that you get a lot, one way or the other. I don't know if we'll find a good example in here, but I think in particular things that tend to have lots of yeah, white space changes is a good one.
Mm.
Um, Maybe in the future we have like more semantic diffing that is less affected by this, but right now we really don't, and I think it does make a good deal of a difference. Anyway, so yeah, much more complex, uh, or I guess granular support for customizations. Before we did have these custom form templates.
Oh,
So I suppose if you really wanted, you could do something like what you've just set up without it being in Wagtail Core.
yep.
But those custom form templates, they're really like low level, and we don't necessarily want to encourage anyone to override the rendering to such a great degree.
Yeah, as you can see here, it just looks ugly. But yeah, I I think the AI just spat out inline styles to at least add some colors. And in some cases, as you can see here, it uses emojis
Yeah,
instead of icons. But yeah. So you can technically already have something like this, but yeah, it would be nice if we just provide support out of the box, so you don't have to worry about writing separate templates and then keeping it up to date if Wagtail's mechanism ever changes.
yeah. That's a very common design choice for us right there is at what degree of abstraction to have those APIs to encourage people to add specific patterns. And yeah, so the groups, they're collapsible groups. That's our usual panels component, which you've tweaked a bit, I assume, to make it work for more arbitrary combinations. And then settings.
Ooh,
Ooh. So they're hiding at the top here. And when you open them, they push down the other groups and blocks within the
yeah, the
parent block.
children blocks.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously we still need to um, do some work on the styling to indicate whether it's expanded or not, and maybe have a better separation between the settings blocks and the children blocks. So I think that might be one for a follow up PR, but we need to consult with our designer first.
Yep. I don't think it needs necessarily a ton, but yeah, certainly a bit. I expect. So if I expand all, this is going to expand the settings as well.
I made it that way, but I wasn't sure if we should, so we could take it out if we want.
I think the workflow here. So when you load the page, we don't retain this, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what people tend to do is they go collapse all, and then they'll gradually only reveal the things that they care about. I don't think it's that common for people to decide to expand all because it is overwhelming. So you arrive on the page, whichever default state it is, you collapse all, and you start revealing specifically the thing that you're after, editing wise. Um, and I am hoping that in the future we'll be able to do this from the preview of the page, perhaps.
Ooh,
Click a point and it shows you exactly in the form where you should be looking. But right now you just have to guess based on your understanding of the contents, based on those little summaries as well. Nice work, Sage.
thank you.
I think lots of people will find this tremendously helpful. Um, I have a really nice segue into our next topic, if you'll allow me.
Yeah,
Our guide websites. I have been working on. Ooh, what's up with that? I have been working on better support for LLMs, AI models to use the content of the site and guide people towards the information thereafter. And something I'd really like to do is being able here when I craft new content. Um, let's say I'll have a text block here about some new status we add to the pages. I actually really like to try and see if I could add more content for the AI models specifically. So for this kind of text field, having settings toggle here that allows me to configure, oh, this field is for AI models only. That could be a really good use of this. And if I had lots of these different settings, like maybe if on this site I had like, oh, this section here is only for version 7.2 and up as a setting as well. I could become really noisy in the UI.
mm-hmm.
Right now it's just a rich text field, so like the amount of Chrome to content, like UI to actual content ratio is really good. But if you add lots of those settings, it does get really tricky to parse, like visually,
Yep,
really fast. So yeah, as soon as it's released, I think I'll make use of it for this site, for this feature.
nice one. Yeah, the settings blocks will always be collapsed by default. So for the most part, it will get out of your way until you actually need it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever come across the Wagtail package called Wagtail Personalization, but I've been working on updating it for support for the wrong links latest version of the package. Oh, I'm surprised there's no link to the GitHub in here.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
It needs a new release, so I'll change it to point to the repository at that point. Um, and let me get the right screenshot. Um, yes, this is very similar where each of your like paragraph fields has this extra field next to it to configure where the who the paragraph is displayed for. And I will make it so much more like seamless in the new block settings world to not have those fields constantly displayed when the majority of the content might not even have this set at all. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, llms.txt content for our AI models, our AI overloads. Have you worked much with the llms.txt format yet?
No, not really.
Okay, well, it's I think a way to help um, people who use AI direct the AI towards the contents of a specific site in its answers. So, if I go to my AI model and ask it about Django, by default, it might be configured to just answer based on its training data. And that can be quite unreliable because you never know when the training was, how long ago. So the next step after that was implemented was search support. So based on what you asked, it would search. I guess maybe we can do a demo. Which AI providers do you use at the moment, Sage?
I don't really use it. But
None.
I mean, I use what GitHub provides on the Copilot extension. So sometimes I switch between Claude, Sonnet, and OpenAI
So you
Codex.
just use it for coding? You don't use any AI for search or like research tasks?
No, I still use the
Ooh,
plain old, just search engine.
right. Okay. Well, let's use the Mistral one and help Sage with research for block settings. Let's say in the Wagtail CMS, how would I be able to change my paragraph block? Well, it's just a simpler one, so it can have a theme. So this will rely on the Mistral AI understanding what Wagtail CMS is, and it might only have a very limited understanding of that from its training data. So there it's performed a search and found references around the web that talk about Wagtail and decides based on that how to answer the question. But what's really not necessarily problematic, but I guess definitely unideal, is it decides for itself which data to search, which searches to run, and you don't have much control over that. And it could literally be finding blog posts from five
Oh
years ago.
no, it even says site ykel.io. We haven't been using that domain for a while now.
Exactly, exactly. So it's just like lots of outdated information. So that's the point of having those LM-friendly versions of websites. You can much more easily give the AI access to the latest content of the site. And even more than that, you can try and constrain it to tell it like, okay, please only answer this question based on the docs of that project. Um, I don't think it's worth like us looking at the answer here, but basically in a coding context, without this file, you'll be super likely to get API choices that reflect the project like 2, 3 years ago. Or if your project didn't even exist 2, 3 years ago, you get lots of hallucinations. So I think the Svelte people in particular, they've like adopted this heavily when they've changed their syntax. I don't know if you've seen the Svelte runes syntax.
Oh, is it with the dollar signs or?
Yeah, the dollar signs. uh yeah, that's I
That's
it
a lot of
hurts a
money.
bit. It hurts a bit. I guess for me it just looks slightly too much like PHP or jQuery. So I have some bias right there. Like not that I dislike PHP or jQuery, but the PHP or jQuery projects that I was working on back in the days, like we weren't optimizing for quality in those stacks. Um, yeah, and anyway, when they introduced this new syntax, it was really clear that AI models wouldn't just magically pick it up from their site's content. So I think that's why they invested in those files and in MCP server, which is another like layer above that, to encourage AI coding agents to produce up-to-date information. Um, so back to Wagtail. I added this to the guide website, which is our user guide for CMS users. Do you use this site much yourself?
I mean, I personally don't because yeah, I don't really need to find out anything here, but I can see how this is useful for our users.
But you must be getting questions all the time on how you do this or that in Wagtail.
Uh, I think I usually get questions about developer side of things,
Oh,
so
okay, yeah, yeah.
I would
So
use
then,
the developer talks a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, adding those files to these sites is definitely just the first step, and I think we'll want to add the same files to the developer docs. Um, it just happens that it's a more complex problem than meets the eye, which is why I started with this site. Should we look at the file?
Yeah.
llms.txt.
Ooh.
I know, right? This is just Markdown, by the way. Um,
Why is it
and
TXT then?
I guess this is the same as the logic of why robots.txt is just txt. For some reason, it felt safer to use an existing extension, even though the format inside is more structured than meets the eye. Um,
Yeah, but robots.txt doesn't reuse an existing known syntax, right? It's its own
you
thing.
think it should be robots.markdown because it's markdown inside?
Wait, no, robots.txt still should be robots.txt, but LLMs maybe.
Ah, okay. So for robots.txt is okay because they shouldn't invent their formats. They can invent a format without changing the extension.
Yeah,
And for llms.txt, since they use an existing format, they should use the extension of that format.
yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
I mean, technically, I guess LLMs don't have to read Markdown. You can just put plain text in here. It's just that LLMs are pretty good at understanding Markdown. So,
So, yes, but I'm not sure to be honest, because I expect there's a fair few features of the LMs that do perform much better with the better syntax. Maybe I'll show you an example. Um, One of my like testing questions that I've been trying out to see how well this setup works is on our documents docs. We have this warning at the bottom. Deleted documents cannot be recovered. So you could see how this is like very custom markup that doesn't necessarily have a markdown equivalent. So that's the type of thing that I think is really a good example of, I guess, the value in understanding quite precisely how you transcribe that to markdown or plain text. And obviously, we don't want this to just be removed. Um, and in addition to this, um, if there was like an ID attribute in there, it would definitely be possible to have an anchor link directly to this, which feels like quite a valuable feature if you know your search agent sends you to the most specific parts of the docs.
mhm.
Anyway, let's see what happens. Um, Mistral, let's do a new chat, and I have already uploaded the file in this library here.
Ooh.
Um, Mistral has this concept of libraries where when you query the same data multiple times, um, you can have it fetch like a collection of documents. Here, the document is just one file, which is the full llms.txt, which is all of the site's content in Markdown
Is that
in
part of
one.
the llms.txt convention, or did you link it from the root llms.txt?
It's not quite clear exactly how well this is supported. Um, if you look at like this attempt to standardize the format, there's actually lots of just imprecise things in there about exactly how the files are meant to work. And there's no docs at all on the AI providers side on how the files might be parsed, if at all. So you're left to guess, basically. On there it says lms-ctx-full.txt. People have just settled on dash full. And yeah, here it says XML-based structure, which is, I think quite useful to the AI if it understands that there's separate documents in there,
Mm-hmm.
how to split them after potentially. Right now, I just decided to use those like line separators. Saiva in the chat says about the guide website, it's very nice to be able to point users to this guide instead of repeating the same instructions again and again. Yes, That is exactly why I thought Sage you might be looking at this site quite often. But developer docs, I guess, is the same. Like if I answer a question, I want to tell people here is where the answer is. And if the answer isn't there, I'll definitely be working on adding it to the site. Not that I don't like people asking me questions. It's really great. But you want people to be more autonomous if it's possible.
Yeah, and if they ask questions that haven't been covered in the documentation, we can add them to the documentation for everyone to benefit from.
100%. And I'm really hoping as part of this that we take a good hard look at actually how many gaps there are in our docs. We don't do this just for the AI to do the same faster. We actually also do it so that we can improve the docs quite substantially. But I digress. Back to how you use it. I uploaded the file in my AI chat. Now I can ask, hey, please help answer this Wagtail support question. Um, Very important to provide some guardrails. Only answer based on the contents of the Wagtail user has uploaded. Do not speculate based on internet content. And focus your answer on CMS users' needs, not developer needs. This is really crucial for a system like Wagtail that the AI knows, is it intended to give you a dev answer? How would you do this if you were a dev versus a CMS user? And maybe something about tone of voice. Keep it profesh.
Is that the word?
User request. How do I recover a document I just deleted? So if you were to answer that question, Sage, is it clear to you what a document is in Wagtail?
If we're talking about Wagtail, I think so. Yeah, it's a file that you upload
And
in
bonus question, do you think it's clear for the person that's asking you this question what a document is in Wagtail?
maybe not.
Mm-hmm. I find it interesting to see some AI models that answer this. They clearly think like, oh, Wagtail has this thing called document, so I'll answer about that, and not only. And some AI models, they decide to also answer for other types of content in the
Like
CMS.
pages.
Pages and images tend to be what happens.
Oh no.
What?
Yeah, deleted documents cannot be recovered.
So it looks like a quote. Do you think it's exactly how it's written in the docs? You'd think, right? That'd be the
Yeah,
expectation.
I think so.
Yes, it works.
Yay.
And you'll notice that here again, like this markdown formatting thing, I coded it so that it would display exactly like this, which I
Mm,
assume is much better for the AI to understand than one line saying warning, then empty space, and then another line saying the text. But yeah, there's no other way to know for sure at this point in time than just spending the time trying out with different models.
yeah, and I think some, you know, markdown as the original definition is it's very simple, right? I don't think it even adds something like tables, but people add like extensions to markdown, and lately, well, not yeah, not recent, not lately, but people have also been adding an extension for callouts, which would be what your warning thing
Call
typically.
recently people like it's just GitHub, no?
No, not just GitHub. Like
There's callouts
Obsidian.
in Common Mark.
No, not in Common Mark. So, I don't want to get too deep into this, but there's the GitHub this when GitHub launches a feature, they have a discussion in their community space for people to give feedback on. And when the callouts feature, see, you cannot even find it in
It's
this.
not even in their
Yeah,
docs.
yeah, they haven't updated here. So in the discussion for like feature feedback thing, there are some very um how do I frame it?
Spicy comments.
Spicy comments, yeah, and people who are really concerned about it, and wanting to make it a proper standard instead of just GitHub's thing. So instead of having diverging implementations, we can settle on a specific thing because once GitHub uses it, everyone will start copying it, right? And at the moment, GitHub kind of overrides the block quote syntax for
Yeah,
callouts and might not be the best thing because you know it has been known for block quotes and warnings are not really block quotes. So
yeah.
yeah, just I digress. Anyway.
I mean, it is important, I think to me what it comes back down to is HTML, what's like semantic HTML that gives uh, screen reader users, for example, the opportunity to understand the content beyond just it being like looking different on the page, just with semantics. Um, so, if there is like a semantic way to express things, it does like bring real value to real people.
Mhm.
But only if those semantics are defined in shared standards. Otherwise, it's just impossible to trust that things have been used correctly and that you should like change the behavior of your software according to it. So yeah, I think this is good example. It doesn't always go like this, but as a point of comparison, you can try to ask the same question without access to this. In Wagtail CMS, one of our users asks a support question. So I don't know which AI model it was that I was trying it on, but it was saying that there is a recycle bin feature in Wagtail.
Oh,
It was adamant that the recycle bin was a core feature of Wagtail and that you could just go there and you'd see your pages and yeah, navigate to the recycle bin. So this one as well.
poor
So
things. You should see an option called recycle bin. Oh,
yes,
it's yeah. I can see how people getting gaslighted by AI, thinking, "I don't see the recycle bin option."
yeah. In some ways, I kind of feel like this is interesting feedback because
Yeah, maybe
when
we
you,
should add the feature.
yeah, because we like documents. That's kind of we have lots of metaphors in there that match expectations of a file system. And when you delete something on Windows, which is what most people out there are using, you can recover it always, right? There's always like a two-step process. So who are
I
we
always
as
use
devs?
shift deletes.
If you want to go like shift deletes, that's fine, Sage, but then you know the nuance.
Yeah, yeah. For your average people, if they just delete it, they expect it to be somewhere that's not yet deleted. Maybe in 30 days, or maybe if I explicitly empty out the recycle bin.
Yeah.
Especially, I guess, for people who love recycling.
Oh, the dig. Um, yeah, so I don't know if we'll um build this recycle bin anytime soon. Um, but I do feel like, interesting for us that the AI comes with those types of answers and definitely worthwhile for us to encourage people to, because, people are going to use the AI to answer their Wagtail questions no matter what, I think, at this point. So I'd rather give them a way to get like more factual answers. Um, yeah, and I think the next step for us on this format is also to try and make it work with smaller models. I don't quite know, like the model that answers our questions here from Mistral, how heavyweight it is. But definitely my goal would be that as a dev, you can run something, not even on your laptop, like just on your phone that has access to the contents. And the model in there is clever enough to retrieve the whole website's content and give you the answer from it. I don't think we're too far from it, but yeah, it'll take some time.
Okay, a tangent, which is what happens if you ask it, does Wagtail have a recycle bin? Will it walk back or
Do you mean here?
will yeah will it be insisting? No, uh, don't use something like "Are you sure?" You just hmm. I was thinking, yeah. I mean, yeah. Just as simple as that. Oh,
It's a statistical answer machine, Sage. Of course, it's gonna say that it does if the sequence of messages here doesn't have any reason for it to doubt itself.
then what happens if you tell it I can't find it? Okay, then it's
Then the seed of doubt has been planted. So
2025. Um, it literally happened to me the other day when I was asking about some options for writing Sphinx documentation, and then the model gave me, "Oh, you can just use this option." And then I asked it, "Does Sphinx have that option?" And then the subsequent answer was literally, "Sorry, I made it up."
they're pretty honest these days.
Yeah, at least they're honest, but still, they shouldn't have lied in the first place. But again, again, if you don't understand how this thing works,
Yeah,
you can have different expectations,
yeah.
which could be dangerous. So,
So the I think the not the end state, but for now the goal will be that it finds this file based on the descriptions here. It decides which of those pages to fetch, and then it can answer the question more authoritatively. Um,
yeah, I think w- we just saw how it can use the documentation exactly as it is, so there is no hallucination, and I can see how this is going to be very useful for people who make use of LLMs to find things in the documentation.
yeah, and I hope we can make some tweaks so that it's even more encouraged. Like one thing I disliked with the answer we got is there was no direct link to the docs.
Oh yeah.
Um, so that's why, you were asking about the format. I'm hoping that if it's not literally plain text, but there is things like links, it would be able to detect if there is anchor links that it can reuse
Hmm.
to take people to a specific point. It's just really tricky right now to know exactly which links it might be able to understand. I don't know if I have my copy still, but yesterday I tried it with one of my local AI models, and it was the same question, and it made the mistake when it answered to link to the wrong docs. So basically, it answered with this content, but with that URL that
Ah,
is definitely closer to the content than this one at the top. Um, I don't know if I want to get into the specifics here, but one of the challenges with those kinds of full files is they can be too big for some models' context windows.
yeah.
So it has to retrieve the file and then chunk it into smaller segments and
Yeah,
then
and
use
it
it.
happens that the chunk for this warning is bundled together with the next thing instead of
Yeah,
what it is in.
yeah. I have no idea how it decides to chunk those plain text. And it's not like there's a standard for that. It's just however different developers of those interfaces decided to build the chunking. And I guess I tried hard that the white space was as close to how a human would write a markdown doc as possible.
Hmm.
Um, but clearly it's not enough that it chunks this and that together, I expect. So yeah, I definitely hope that we'll have time for those kinds of like improvements towards smaller models. Um, the goal there being, to reduce the energy use of AI. There's like really clearly established data now that the smaller the model is, surprise, surprise, the less energy it uses to answer queries. So I really should try harder to make our AI integrations work with those much smaller models. Anyway, any questions, Sage?
I wonder if it would help if instead of having just a vertical, sorry, horizontal line, we add, I don't know, maybe an HTML comment or something like end of page, start of
Hmm.
page.
Claude has this page called Long Context Prompting Tips. And in there, they show an example of prompting with multiple documents altogether. Um, and just to be clear, like as far as I know, this like there's no like formal schema for this stuff. You literally just make it up with whichever metadata you have. It says and other metadata subtags. So I think that could be like an approach. Just use XML that doesn't otherwise appear in the contents. Um, But yeah, I think rather than implement something that's Anthropic specific, I'd much rather like test first and compare different syntaxes.
Is XML making a comeback?
It looks like it is
Is 2026 the year for XML?
the year for XML. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, if you want to have fun with those files, I did not create a package just yet. I could definitely see that happening, but it is open source and it is a separate Django app that is meant to be relatively simple to fit into any project. And I did write almost all of the code myself, so I can vouch for it to
Oh, it's grass fed.
be okay. It's not totally grass fed, like there's some AI here and there, but there's more AI for the tests than for the business logic, if that makes sense.
You write tests?
It felt a bit crucial, to be honest, for something like this that has to work across a wide range of content.
Yeah, nice. And
Yeah,
I see that you use Ginger as well.
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I really like Ginger to start with, and I don't know how much time you spent with it, but there were a few reasons that really made me wish for it for this specific project.
What are
Reason number
those?
one, sorry.
Yeah, what are those?
Yeah, there's lots.
Sorry for cutting it.
No, it's okay. Reason number one is really silly, but in Django templates, I really dislike how people choose the .html extension, which means that most things that syntax highlight out there, they don't know there's a template in it. They expect just HTML. And this isn't, there's a template in there, but it's not HTML. And it felt really weird to me to have a template inside a .txt file
Mm.
to compromise on my syntax highlighting. So I felt like, oh, let's use a proper template language that actually has a file extension, .ginger. So it's pretty minor, but I think it does like make a big difference in like being able to read the code. And reason number two is white space management. I also really dislike in Django templates how little there is white space management. I think from what I recall, there's two options. Either you collapse all white space or you keep it as in the source. Um, so for example, here, those types of lines at the top in Django templates, they would be preserved and you'd have your markdown file start with 3 lines worth of white space for all of your loading of template tags.
Yeah.
The only option there being to default load the template tags in your Django settings, which I'm quite like the explicit nature otherwise. So I don't know if you use Jinja much, but those like dashes there,
Dashes. Yeah.
yeah, they allow you to decide how the white space is collapsed basically after that closing bracket until whatever is next. So all of the white space here, all the new lines are going to be removed. And yeah, basically, if you want to do something like text-based like this, I felt like it was almost a must to have this level of white space management. It's not a must, obviously. I'm sure the
Yeah,
AI
but
will process it
it
just
adds
fine,
up,
but
right? If you're building the whole llms.txt, the full page, the full site.
it adds up. And I think it's just like as a human reviewing the content, it makes it a fair bit harder to check that it's all like
Yep.
correct. Um, I don't really know if it makes much of a difference for the LLM, but when I read this, I find extra white space in random places to be quite distracting. And I definitely expect to be using that myself. Like if I don't quite trust the search feature of a site, I'll just go to that and use my like regex based searching. Um, anyway, hopefully good reasons. It was much simpler than I expected to get this set up with Jinja. It really is just a matter of installing the separate extra package, configuring your Django settings to parse the two types of templates, and then this one file that configures exactly what should be available as far as like extra um, processing.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, nice and easy. Hopefully, as people, if I end up packaging this into a separate library, I'll help spread the gospel of Jinja and shepherd adoption.
Might it be
Um,
fast?
I think it's quite a bit faster, no? Like, obviously, for this content, it should be cached anyway when it actually reaches the user of the site. So it will make no difference at all that it's cached, that it's fast, the template rendering. But I think it's like 2, 3 times faster, no? What's the word on the street?
I don't know. I just thought, maybe Django's template engine will be rewritten in Rust.
Yeah, one of the, you know about this project, right? Lily,
Yep.
one of the steering council members, she's working on that, I think.
Yep. Um, yeah. I would be interested in seeing how that would compare to Jinja. I mean, obviously, I think it's got to be faster, right? But it doesn't have as many features, so I can see how people would still want to use Jinja.
Hmm. Yeah. If you want to go on a bit of a ginger tangent, I have more to share. Is that okay?
Of course, yeah.
So in Wagtail we have all those template tags,
Mm-hmm.
images in templates. And so our template tags, we have this really strange syntax to specify how the images should be rendered.
Hmm.
I don't know how you feel about this. Like when I say strange syntax, maybe people think of this first. But really, even that's like, what is going on there? Is that a valid bit of like Django templates argument syntax with a
I think
dash?
I would expect that to be inside quotes because it's more
Exactly.
like strings. It's
Because
not
you'd
that
expect
simple.
between this and there, only valid things are like Python style identifiers.
Yeah, Python-ish.
Yeah, Python-ish. Like there's not any actual requirement to do that, but that's kind of what you'd
Mhm.
expect. And we break that here and obviously there as well. And it turns out if you want to create your own custom template tag, it's really painful if you want to recreate this parsing for your custom tag, because we have lots of code, like not a lot, lots, but like 50 lines of Python to parse this into something useful. And you'll never guess the Jinja version, how much simpler it is.
Oh.
It's an attribute with quotes. And I actually don't feel like it's meaningfully changes the developer ergonomics.
Hmm.
Because, Django templates doesn't know how to render like syntax highlights
Hmm.
attributes of template tags that much. So in some ways, I actually feel like this might be better to work with. You have a clearer like argument passing syntax. And if you look at the code of this, like in our code base, it is just so much simpler because there's none of this fancy argument parsing. I'll give you a before after Sage, and then I'll let you go. There, all the way to there. So there's the parsing of our weird syntax. There's also the parsing of how to add a as and a variable name to store this into the context. Guess what? That's a built-in feature in Jinja. There's a template tag for that called set. And then you really look at the Jinja version and start crying. It's literally just
What?
function calls. There's no parsing at all because they're just arguments, positional or keyword on the method.
Should we all just use Ginger then?
I really have a hard time saying no to that question. Um, I'll show you one more thing and then rant over our bakery demo project, the flagship of what a Wagtail site is meant to look like, at least a simple Wagtail site. I did a Jinja conversion, and it is so much, I think, simpler. So if you look at something like the base templates, Django templates, if page.seo title, page.seo title, else page.title, Jinja.
And with Django templates, I imagine when it's actually rendered, you have all the extra white spaces from those lines,
Yes,
which could also add to the HTML payload. Yeah, well, I guess with compression, it doesn't matter that much, but still.
I would expect like for serious sites, you probably have to have some kind of reverse proxy cache that's gonna compress the HTML no matter what. But yeah, I think just, as a dev looking at the markup, it's definitely nicer to troubleshoot something where the markup is neat. And
Yeah.
as a dev looking at the source code, this is also so much clearer. Sarah says, bonus question for Thibaud. How much will the Django Wagtail carbon footprint shrink if Django switches to Jinja templates in the next major version? Uh, Saiva, that's a tough question. Um, I think you could probably benchmark this, have a decent sense of how many sites there are out there, figure out for each site how much of the CPU is spent. Um, rendering templates. Probably not much difference just because, unless people were to downscale their servers to, because the server doesn't do as much work, you can use a smaller server. It wouldn't make much of a difference. What do you think, Sage?
Yeah, and I guess with caching, it really only matters on the first time before the cache is populated often.
Yeah. Matthew says, I think the current Django template implementation has helpers that would make the image tag as simple as the Jinja 2 one. If only we didn't have the unquoted string. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely if we didn't have the unquoted
Yeah.
string. I guess there is the as syntax as well. Is there a helper for that as syntax? I don't know why we rolled out our own for this. I have assumed there was no, like that each Django template tag that has this implements it piece by piece.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you use like a class-based implementation of the tag so that you have better control over the nodes, maybe it has some helpers there. I don't know.
But is that so with the catch that I don't know too much how custom template tags work? Is this parsing not before you actually create a node?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, the as syntax is part of simple tag. Ooh,
Oh,
rant over. No, no.
how do you look for ass?
Yes.
Is it in the? If you look at the right hand side, is there a? I think there is a documentation for writing custom tags.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was.
Nice.
Yes. That's what we should document then. Great. Um, and then I will have yeah, why do we use custom syntax for the passing of the filter rules then?
It's it's been around for many years, right? I'm not sure. Like,
But I'm sure there was a reason.
yeah. Maybe back then it didn't matter too much, and then now we start to question our decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does look neat. It's just when it comes time that you want to customize to use a custom tag of yours. Right now, this isn't packaged up that you can reuse this extra parsing logic. Um, anyway, TLDR, um, I guess Jinja good, but probably if I had spent the time to learn Django templates customizations more, you could get similar results. Matthew says literally just the unquoted filter string. Maybe it's time we should look at moving away from it then. Don't know if it's too worth it, but yeah, something to mull over. This is from someone's request, by the way, of how do I create my custom template tags. It's not just me going too deep into this. Um, and yeah, as far as the Jinja adoption, like there's a few other neat things here and there. I made those requests for new template tags in Jinja, but it doesn't take too
Ooh.
much work to call the right methods. It's just then you create bugs, like forgetting to add the page URL right here. You only add the site's root URL and the reverse of the routable page, like subpath. So yeah, this is why Sage you found this issue when I implemented this the first time.
But I guess it must be nice to just call methods inside your templates.
I don't know. I think some people would say that this is too nice. Um, and yeah, I definitely feel like it is nice to have slightly more abstraction than this. But yeah, sometimes I guess I feel like I can get away with it. Um, yeah, hopefully I think there's a good case for that to be a package someday. I'm just waiting for at least one other person to have a need for it. And then we can encourage other sites where there's a need to adopt those features, generation of those files. Um, I definitely don't think it's necessarily good fit for any and all sites out there, but for the ones that are like documentation based, it does feel like it will help people get to more factual, authoritative answers.
Yeah, for things like knowledge base or intranet, where you have um, documents that people refer to a lot. Well, I mean, it's basically documentation, right? So,
Yeah, and for sites like our like marketing sites for the projects, I don't really know. I feel like, some of this stuff, like for example, the roadmap, it would be nice if you asked your AI, oh, what's on the roadmap for Wagtail? It didn't just make it up.
and then people ask you, the AI says you will ship this feature in the next release.
Yeah, it's a bit of minefields. I feel like some people that use AI are well aware that you shouldn't just trust whatever is on there. And some people definitely aren't. And I think to me, it's the same trope as I forget what the name is, but there is this paradox when you look at news, newspaper, news media, where you see it being so wrong for the fields that you're well versed in. Do you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Do you know one? Yeah, yeah. So you see a piece of news for the field you're in, and you feel like it's utter nonsense, and nonetheless you expect it to be good for the fields that you aren't so aware of. And I think it's the same with AI. If you ask it about something that you know about, you feel like, ah, rubbish. But for something that's outside of your comfort zone, you just trust it. November 5th, that looks close enough. February 2nd, that looks close enough as well. Usability, accessibility, performance, developer experience. Oh, it has picked up autosave. So it does. I don't know exactly what search it ran there, but it's clearly not just gibberish. Yeah, I found some of our blog posts and inferred the content from it.
I think if it uses the web, it always gives you the, uh, well, like considerably better results because it's more up to date, right? It's not just spouting whatever it thinks is correct based on its training data.
Yeah, and it has the right page. Neat.
Nice.
Savar says Gell-Mann amnesia effect. Yes, I think Gell-Mann amnesia sounds like it's the one that I was thinking of. And Matthew says focus on usability, accessibility. Yes, that's just our general description of Wagtail. You're right. Um,
But it mentions autosave.
it mentions autosave. It knows anyway. Um, any any other comments, Sage? Any questions you have about llms.txt? What are you working on next anyway?
Autosave.
Right next on our roadmap, the autosave MVP, or we'll have a good long discussion about that someday. Hopefully, hopefully it works.
Yeah, maybe we'll start the new year with autosave.
Yeah, can we have Matthew as a guest on the podcast?
Of course, why not?
That'd be great. It's a really big deal of a feature and lots of super interesting design trade-offs in there. And on that note, yeah, from my side, more llms.txt for the developer docs and a few other things here and there. And yeah, we'll see you all in the new year.
Oh, have a good break.
Matthew said yes, it's on. Do we get to merge it live on stream as well when you have it ready?
Oh, that would be fun. It's
Great.
a historical moment for sure.
Yes, it is. Lots of people want that. Um, yeah, have a good rest of the day. Stay safe on the internet and yeah, be mindful of where your AI gets its content from because it's not always truthful, is it?
Maybe with the help of your work, it will be.